There was a time when Europe stood for something.
A continent that had lived through dictatorships, secret police, mass surveillance and authoritarian governments all understood one simple truth.
Privacy isn't a luxury. It's a safeguard against tyranny.
But today, that principle is being chipped away. The European Union has taken another step towards expanding the monitoring of private digital communications.
Under the banner of protecting children. Now let me be absolutely clear. Every decent person wants children protected.
Every decent person wants predators caught. That isn't the debate.
The debate is whether sacrificing the privacy of hundreds of millions of innocent Europeans is a price worth paying.
Because history has taught us something governments rarely admit. The greatest losses of freedom almost never arrive overnight. They arrive one law at a time, one temporary measure at a time, one exception at a time.
Until one day, people wake up and realize freedoms that once seemed untouchable have quietly disappeared.
Supporters of these measures say, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear.
And it's an argument we've heard countless of times throughout history. But privacy isn't about hiding crime. Privacy is about living in a free society.
When you close the curtains in your home, are you hiding something? When you lock your front door at night, are you admitting that you're guilty? When you have a private conversation with your husband, wife, parents or children, should the government have the right to inspect it simply because technology now makes that possible?
Of course not. Privacy is a basic expectation of a free society.
It protects journalists exposing corruption, for example, lawyers speaking with clients, doctors talking to patients, businesses protecting trade secrets, political dissidents, whistleblowers, religious minorities. The list could go on.
A society where everybody assumes they may be watched is fundamentally different from one where citizens are presumed innocent. One of the most concerning aspects of this debate is the precedent it sets. Because once government established that scanning private communications is acceptable for one purpose, the next question becomes,
why stop there? If it's justified for child abuse material, why not terrorism? If it's justified for terrorism, why not organized crime?
If organized crime, why not hate speech? If hate speech, why not misinformation? Then election interference, then extremist content.
Then, whatever your future politicians think needs to be monitored. Every government promises it will only use extraordinary powers responsibly. Every government insists that safeguards exist.
But laws outlive politicians. Governments change, priorities change, the legal power remains.
That's why civil liberties organizations across Europe have repeatedly warned against creating surveillance systems that could later be expanded beyond their original purpose. Because history shows that powers granted in extraordinary circumstances often become permanent features of government.
Our continent remembers the Stasi of East Germany, the Securitate in Romania, Franco's Spain, the Soviet security apparatus across Eastern Europe. Different governments, different ideologies, but one common belief, that citizens should be watched.
Right, so we're just going to pop open the laptop and see what people are actually thinking about it. So I have X open here. Pop in EU chat control. And let's see what people are actually saying about it, because this is a very new thing. It literally just passed yesterday, I believe. Hashtag chat control has just passed in the European Parliament. Since the absolute majority of 361 votes against could not be reached, 271 if I'm not mistaken, here is a list of messaging apps that you can use and which will in no case be subject to this regulation. So this is actually probably a pretty interesting thread here.
It's a person that comes from France, and they are literally listing all of the different apps that you can use. But I assume once this regulation is through, every single app is going to be affected by it anyway, regardless of if you're using Telegram or Signal or WhatsApp.
For the time being, it doesn't seem like some of the encrypted messaging apps. I'm not sure.
WhatsApp is back and what is it? Front to back encrypted.
So you have Signal. You only need a phone number to sign up, and then everything else is end-to-end encrypted. So Signal seems to be getting away. SimpleX, Vector, and then other options like Matrix, Session, White Noise, Olvid. So this is the thing that Europeans are resorting to. They actually have to go out and research different apps that are not going to be affected by these laws if you do want to try and circumvene or circumnavigate this dystopia that's happening.
You also need to remember that if you are having these types of conversations, for example, a political conversation on Signal now, if this law expands to Signal at a later stage, everything is going to be visible anyway, regardless of whether you did it on Signal or not. So I would still proceed with caution.
Yeah, be very careful about making these types of steps. And I've no idea if it affects deleted conversations, if you're able to actually delete them or not. That's a whole other conversation that needs to be had, to be honest. Now, Ethan Levins here says, breaking, the EU has passed chat control 1.0. So this appears to be like the beginning stages of something that they want to actually expand on. That's probably the most terrifying part about all of this. It's like, how far are they going to actually take this? Is this going to just span over everything? Are they going to be able to, at any time, basically hack into your phone and just watch exactly what your behavior patterns are? Is this something that's coming down the line? I've no idea.
If it has a 1.0, I'm sure there's going to be a 1.1, a 1.2, or a 3.5 in 10 years' time. It also, by the way, Ethan here says, and other major forms of communication.
Yep.
So things like, if this is actually the way the law is phrased, that means that every single messaging app will be included in it anyway.
Yeah, he says this includes WhatsApp, emails, Instagram, DMs, and other major forms of communication. So there's very little corners of the internet that are actually safe for Europeans to access.
Is this actually just about written things, or is it also about things like FaceTime? So like if you have a conversation with in my case, with my German dad on FaceTime, is that also surveilled? Will
that be able to be actually seen? Again, breaking. This is Visegrad 24. The European Parliament has just passed Chat Control 1.0. A proposal to stop the new law, which will allow big tech companies to voluntarily scan all private messages, needed an absolute majority of 361, but received only 314. Now, this is probably the most egregious thing for me, is that it wasn't a majority. And this is further proof that democracy is an illusion within the European Union. It's similar all across the world, to be honest, at the moment. They didn't even get the majority. And the worst part of it all is that 314 people here, so 314 people have voted in favor of it. Yeah. Those 314 people that voted in favor of it, that's 314 out of hundreds of millions of Europeans that have no voice. So those 314 people have more say in this topic than the hundreds of millions of Europeans that are actually going to be affected by these laws. Yes, it's crazy.
The European Union representatives are, in case you don't know, they are selected indirectly. So they're not really voted in directly by European citizens. It's more like an indirect thing. It's more like a representative for a party that has been put in place.
The reason we're using X, by the way, is this is the one social media where we can actually freely talk about these things, where conversation can happen. So Ivan Fioravanti, I'm assuming in Italian, guess which country was the only one out of 27 fighting for democracy on Chat Control 1.0 mass scanning law? Italy, apparently. Italy, and this makes me proud to be Italian more than ever. What are the other 26 countries doing? What is left of France and the Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité? What about others? So apparently Italy was actually fighting back.
That really makes me wonder, what did all of the countries say that are always considered the good countries? So be like Poland, hashtag be like Poland or whatever. What did Poland say? What did Hungary say? What did, the considered good countries, what did they say about this? Italy usually is also one of the more considered good countries since Meloni is in power, but in this case, it seems like they're the only ones fighting for it.
Yeah, it's the one nation that actually pushed back against it. Rami Karimo says, EU's chat control. The EU believes that private messages between you and your partner belong to the EU. The EU believes that private messages between you and your children belong to the EU. The EU believes that private messages between you and your doctor belong to the EU. Why? And exactly the purpose of this video here. We are asking, why is this necessary? What is necessary about this? And it seems to be sort of the familiar thing here with all of this. And this, I think, is a perfect sort of summary of how everybody in Europe is feeling right now.
Yeah.
This guy right here, just the anger, the frustration, the confusion. Like, we've already been pushed to the limit in terms of having no freedom, having very limited freedom of speech, no access to being able to defend ourselves, being able to defend our families. And now it's come to this, which is just an even thicker level of dystopian on top of it all.
It also makes me wonder what the European Union has been doing so far to combat child pornography online, for example, and why was it not enough? Because I, for example, am aware that I know that WhatsApp used to be end-to-end encrypted, obviously, but if you would have said certain words, people in the company of WhatsApp would have been able to get like a meta perspective and like get a gist of what you're talking about. Like if you were to say whatever negative word. And so that wasn't enough. Why was that not enough? Did it not work what you were doing? Why did you change the course of action here? It's a bit weird to me. I don't know.
Absolutely. Here, EU surveillance paradise, Lord Bebo. So this is actually a couple things that have been laid out by the EU. So cars sold in the EU will require a camera that scans the driver's face to determine if they are distracted. This is something relatively new as well. It basically means that you will be tracked 24/7 while you're driving your car, not let alone, like, you might think, oh, I'm going to leave my phone at home so they can't do it. Once you get in your car, the same thing happens. Chat control is being pushed through. It would allow the EU to scan all private chat messages of the citizens. Age verification, that's another thing that's happening now. Social media being banned for under 16-year-olds. It requires users to prove their age with a selfie and ID. It's also about to be implemented. No citizens have voted for this. This is the most important part. The elites are simply imposing it on the public. This is, for me, the most important part of it. There has been no say. No one has agreed to this. The same way with the countless wars, NATO being involved in, America being involved in. All of this affects Europe. This is the root cause. A lot of the wars are the root cause of a lot of the mass migration into Europe. Where do you think these people are fleeing from? They're fleeing from the Middle East. They're fleeing from the northern parts of Africa, like Libya, that has been decimated unnecessarily. And now we don't even have say in being able to privately send messages to our friends and family anymore.
John here from France is already calling for everybody to delete your accounts and all of the applications that will implement chat control. So we're already taking the first step towards not communicating anymore. We are basically going back to the Stone Ages here. We will have to meet in the center square of any village and just talk to each other face to face, which I think is probably the best solution to this anyway. But I do have to say one thing, deleting your account is not gonna erase the history of your chat. So if the company actually saved all of the chat history, let's say on a server for the last 10 years, the EU now has access to that anyway. So they might take you responsible for something that you said 7 years ago. You don't know that.
And this here, guys, is the face of it all. So,
unelected officials.
Unelected officials of the European Union, everything about Europe is unelected. It's not done democratically. But yet these people will say that we have to protect democracy. There's nothing democratic about any of this. And I think we can both agree, and all of you guys can agree, what's happening here in Europe is draconian, it's horrific, and it's only going to end in one way, and it's not going to be very nice. So with all of that being said, there's a lot more that you can go and check out, and I'd highly suggest you guys type in EU chat control on X or in any of the other search engines, but X is going to give you the most unfiltered version. Have a scroll through. This is the beginning, by the way, of a new video series of ours, which is going to be basically Two Mad Explorers reactions. And we're going to be doing deep dives and reaction style commentary videos, which allows us to touch on all of these really important topics, bring these topics to you in a quicker manner without us having to go and travel internationally to different countries. We will still be doing that. There will still be travel focused videos on similar topics. It's just that it takes more time to get those videos out to you. These videos here are going to be focused specifically on certain things, such as the new EU chat control, and it allows us to speak about these things at a quicker rate, getting the information out to you and allowing us to open up conversation faster. And I think that's really important. So that's why we're starting this new playlist here. But for now, I want to remind you all from our little desk here in the middle of Europe that Christ is King.
And God bless you all.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.